The economy is constantly growing in size. The number of dollars moving around the economy today is way different than it was in 1776, darling.
The fastest way to become wealthy is to gain control of your largest wealth-building tool, your income. When Dave Ramsey says this, he's not talking about earning more. He's talking about how you handle every dollar that passes through your hands. Most Americans earning $100,000 are still living paycheck to paycheck. A recent study found that over half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, including 1/3 of people making over $100,000 a year. Still, some people making $40,000 are building wealth. How? The difference isn't income. The problem isn't how much money comes in. It's where that money goes when it does. And today, I'm breaking down Dave Ramsey's 8 most powerful strategies for living well on a low income. The exact methods that have helped thousands of people go from broke to financially secure. And make sure you stay until the end for our quotes and bonus section, where I'll share Dave's most surprising advice about wealth that most people completely miss. You see, most people don't have a money problem. They have a behavior problem with money. If I handed you $10,000 right now, would it fix your finances permanently or just delay the inevitable crash? Most people struggling financially would be in the exact same position 6 months after a windfall. The difference between financial peace and financial chaos isn't income, it's habits. These 8 strategies aren't complicated financial theory. They're battle-tested methods that work for real people on real budgets, especially when those budgets are tight. Tip 1. Create a detailed budget for every dollar. In his book, Total Money Makeover, Dave says, "A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went." This quote captures the essence of Dave Ramsey's most fundamental teaching. When you're living on a low income, you simply can't afford to let money slip through your fingers unnoticed. This is what Dave calls a zero-based budget. Before the month begins, you assign every single dollar of income to a specific purpose until you reach zero. Nothing is left unaccounted for. When people first do this exercise, they're often shocked to discover how much money is actually being wasted on things like fast food, convenience store snacks, or impulse purchases. Money that could be redirected to essential needs like utilities and groceries. As Dave suggests to his community, a budget is permission to spend. The power comes from making intentional choices about your money before the month begins, rather than wondering where it all went after it's gone. For extremely low incomes, Dave recommends prioritizing what he calls the 4 walls: food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. Everything else comes after these essentials are covered. Tip 2. Build a starter emergency fund immediately. Dave suggests twist and wring out the budget, work extra hours, sell something, or have a garage sale, but quickly get your $1,000. When you're living on an extremely low income, an emergency fund is a necessity. Dave Ramsey calls this first $1,000 a starter emergency fund, and he insists it must come before anything else in your financial journey. Dave recommends making a radical decision. Sell everything you don't absolutely need until you have $1,000 saved. Old electronics, rarely worn clothes, unused kitchen gadgets, all can be sold online through platforms like Facebook Marketplace or local sales. When unexpected expenses happen, having this fund means you can handle them without adding to your debt. For those on extremely low incomes, Dave offers 3 criteria for using emergency fund money. Is it unexpected? Is it necessary? Is it urgent? If the answer to all 3 is yes, that's what the fund is for. After using the fund, the priority becomes building it back up as quickly as possible. Tip 3. Cut up your credit cards. Wow, Ramsey! Dave frequently tells his listeners, debt is not a tool, it's a method to make banks wealthy, not you. Dave Ramsey's stance on credit cards is crystal clear and unwavering. Cut them up, cancel them, and never look back. For those living on extremely low incomes, credit cards create an illusion of extra money that quickly becomes a trap. Instead of credit cards, Dave advocates for a cash envelope system for discretionary spending like groceries, restaurants, entertainment, and clothing. Each category gets its own envelope with a set amount of cash for the month. When the envelope is empty, spending in that category stops until next month. Many people trying to maintain a middle-class lifestyle on a working-class income accumulate significant credit card debt. When you have to hand over actual cash at checkout, you become much more aware of what you're buying. Impulse purchases decrease naturally, and you start being intentional about every dollar. Tip 4. Embrace the debt snowball method. Personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. When you're living on an extremely low income, debt can feel like an impossible mountain to climb. Dave Ramsey's solution is the debt snowball method, a psychological approach to debt elimination that has helped millions of people become debt-free, even on the tightest budgets. The method is simple. List all your debts from smallest balance to largest, regardless of interest rates. Pay minimum payments on everything except the smallest debt, which gets every extra dollar you can throw at it. Once that smallest debt is paid off, take its payment and add it to the minimum payment of the next debt on your list. For extremely low incomes, Dave recommends finding extra money for your debt snowball through temporary sacrifices, picking up extra shifts, selling items you don't need, cutting streaming services, or taking on a side hustle. Every extra dollar accelerates the snowball. The average family following this method with intensity pays off all consumer debt, except the mortgage, in 18 to 24 months. For those on very low incomes, it might take longer, but the principle remains the same. Focus creates progress. Tip 5. Stop eating out and master meal planning. In an episode of The Ramsey Show, Dave encountered a 73-year-old Arizona resident with no retirement accounts and $12,000 in student loan debt who wanted to buy a house within 3 years. His response? Basically, you're going to live on beans and rice for the next 3 years. This wasn't just tough love. It was practical wisdom. When Dave tells struggling families to live on beans and rice and beans, he's highlighting a fundamental truth. Food spending is where most budgets have the greatest flexibility and potential for savings. The average American household spends over $3,600 per year on restaurant meals, fast food, and takeout. For someone on an extremely tight budget, that's money that could be going toward debt reduction, emergency savings, or investing for the future. Many hourly workers spend $30 to $40 a day on lunch from fast food places near their workplace. That can easily add up to $650 to $900 a month, potentially more than a third of take-home pay for someone on minimum wage, just on workday lunches. Tip 6. Downsize your housing if necessary. One of Dave Ramsey's most challenging pieces of advice for many people is his housing guideline. Your housing costs should never exceed 25% of your take-home pay. For those on extremely low incomes, this often means making difficult decisions about where and how to live. Housing is typically the largest expense in most budgets. When it consumes too much of your income, it prevents you from making progress on other financial goals, no matter how disciplined you are with the rest of your spending. Many single parents and low-income earners spend 40 to 50% of their monthly take-home pay on housing in neighborhoods they like. Despite cutting expenses in every other area, they remain stuck in a paycheck-to-paycheck cycle with no emergency fund and often growing credit card debt. Dave recommends making the difficult decision to move to a smaller living space in a less convenient but still safe area. Rent can often drop by $300 to $400 per month with such a move. While emotionally challenging to leave familiar surroundings, the financial impact is immediate and profound. With several hundred extra dollars per month, most people can build an emergency fund within a few months and begin attacking their debts. Dave emphasizes that downsizing isn't a step backward. It's a strategic move that creates breathing room in your budget. Lower housing costs also mean lower utility bills, less space to furnish, and fewer maintenance expenses. Tip 7. Master the art of buying used and negotiating. New cars lose 60% of their value in the first 4 years. Buy used cars that are 2 to 4 years old after someone else has paid for that depreciation. When you're living on an extremely low income, Dave Ramsey teaches that you simply can't afford to pay for depreciation, the decrease in value that happens to most consumer goods over time. The solution? Let someone else pay for that depreciation by buying used items whenever possible. This approach applies to almost everything: furniture, appliances, clothing, electronics, and especially vehicles. The savings are substantial, often 50 to 70% off retail prices for items still in excellent condition with years of useful life remaining. Tip 8. Use loyalty programs. Be intentional about every dollar that comes through your hands. In Dave's world of careful money management, even small savings add up to significant progress over time. One often overlooked strategy is maximizing the value of loyalty and rewards programs, especially for essential purchases that you'll make anyway. A lot of grocery stores and bulk buy stores have rewards programs for their members, Ramsey points out. Grocery store rewards are usually totally free. And if you're a regular shopper there, you might as well get rewarded with cheaper prices at the pump. Bulk buy store memberships do typically come at a cost, but Dave suggests that if you're already a member, you should take advantage of the extra savings they offer, particularly on gasoline. For those on extremely tight budgets, combining loyalty programs with strategic shopping, buying items on sale, using digital coupons, etc., can reduce essential expenses by 15 to 20%, creating valuable breathing room in a tight budget. As with all Dave's advice, the goal isn't the small savings themselves. It's what those savings can become when directed toward emergency funds, debt reduction, and eventually wealth building. Every dollar saved through a loyalty program is a dollar that can work toward financial freedom. And now, as we promised, welcome to our bonus section. Dave Ramsey's most powerful quote might be this one: "If you will live like no one else, later you can live like no one else." This quote perfectly captures the essence of Dave's entire financial philosophy. When Dave says, "live like no one else," he means having the courage to reject consumer culture. While others finance new cars, upgrade to bigger houses, and charge vacations on credit cards, you're driving older vehicles, living below your means, and saving cash for purchases. But the second half of the quote is where the magic happens. "Later you can live like no one else" is about what these sacrifices unlock. When your friends are still struggling with debt in their 40s and 50s, you'll be completely debt-free. When others are stuck in jobs they hate because they can't afford to leave, you'll have options. This isn't just about money, it's about freedom. Freedom from financial stress, freedom to be generous, freedom to pursue work that matters rather than just work that pays, and ultimately, freedom to build a life on your terms rather than one dictated by debt payments. These 8 strategies aren't just about surviving on a low income. They're about building habits that serve you at any income level. Because if you can't manage $30,000 a year, you won't manage $300,000 either. If these tips helped you see money differently today, smash that like button and let me know which tip was your favorite in the comments below. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a chance to simplify money and Muchafy your wealth. Remember, simplify money, Muchafy wealth. One smart decision at a time.